guys, the leader of the cult of pizza. And remember, guys, we love you, and you've been watching CCP Podcast.
What is happening, friends of CCP Podcasting? Welcome to Beyond the Bell Live. I am Chris Page. It is a Sunday morning here in the United States. Seems like a great day to have a conversation about some professional wrestling, if you ask me. Hope everybody's having a fantastic weekend. Before we get too deep into the party, first and foremost, again, I will say it and scream it from the rooftops. November 22nd, CCP Podcasting presents Chapter 1 Genesis. Is going to be in Orlando, Florida. Tickets are on sale right now through Eventbrite. If you head over to CCP_podcasting on Instagram, link is right there in the bio. Go ahead and pick up your tickets. We've got 8 matches on deck. Telling you, you do not want to miss this show. Chapter 2, Next Level, January 31st, 2026 has already been announced. I dropped that this weekend, guys. It's been a wild one, and it's going to continue to be a wild one. Shout out, Goth. I see you, buddy. Hope you're doing all right. Our guest today is coming to us from across the pond over in the UK. Actually, he hit up our man Goth in the Netherlands, and I got a DM out of the blue, and he was like, "Hey, man, I got this guy who wants to come and talk to you." I said, "Well, he's coming to the right people. So we'll bring him on in and sit down and have a conversation." We set this up about a month ago, and thankfully, he's a patient individual. Let's jump right in. Let's bring him right on in. Our guest is coming to us from the UK, the one and only Mr. Martyn Cardia. How's it going, brother? Welcome to CCP Podcasting.
Good afternoon here, and good morning to you over in the States.
Mm-hmm. It is definitely, it's just, we're almost there. We're almost midday here. We're 11 a.m. Got people in chat. Goth, obviously, from the Netherlands. Harry's wife, here from Florida. And throw down with Matt. Welcome to the show, Matt. It's good to see you, buddy. Hope you're doing well. If anybody has any questions for our guest today, feel free to drop them in chat. I will get them worked in, and we will we'll continue to have ourselves a fantastic Sunday morning, Sunday afternoonish for you. Martyn, man, I like to start these things off. Actually, before I start these things off, because Goth is in chat, I'm rather curious because when people hit us up, I always like to ask, how did you find us and how did we come across your radar? Because Goth, obviously one of my co-hosts, he's been with me for probably a year and a half now, especially on our Sunday shows. He was going to be here today. He was under the weather, and he apologized for not being here, but the flu knocked down my old man. So how did you come across us and how did you come across Goth?
So I think I can't remember the exact point, but it was either I saw your content via Instagram, or I think I may have had a like on one of my social media posts, and then that obviously enabled me to do a bit more of a deep dive into CCP podcasting as a general. Obviously, I didn't know there was more arms of it initially, so I went straight to Goth, but there was obviously more. And then I thought, shoot my shot, have a chat. I've not done a podcast. I've not been in the wrestling for a particularly long time. So yeah, I just dropped him a direct message and just said, any chance I could come on and have a chat, try and get myself out there kind of a little bit more. That was kind of how it started.
Yeah, man, there's a lot of arms to what we have going on here, and Goth is an instrumental part in the growth of Europe. Specifically, there's three. I have 3 co-hosts on my channel that are over on your side. Goth over in the Netherlands. Excuse me, UK Paul, obviously in the UK, and Devil and Knights over in the UK as well. So we're trying to canvas and discover as many pieces of talent as we can, because there's so many good ones that nobody will ever see. Nobody will ever get the opportunity to watch, because we, as fans, people stick to what they like, right? And they don't ever want to broaden their horizons. Well, that's not what we do here. We do stick to what we like, don't get me wrong, but we always love to broaden our horizons. And that's a big piece of our platform and why we continue to grow. And I'm grateful that you came across us on Instagram, and thankfully you reached out to Goth, and Goth is the man who will definitely just come right to me. And he said, hey, she screenshot me your Instagram information, and I was like, just have him hit me up, man. And then we'll figure it out, and we'll go from there. And we did, and we're here. So we're definitely excited because it makes us feel like our content's getting out there, right? Like that's ultimately what it means if you found us through content and that's the name of the game, because whatever show we're doing or whoever we're talking to, they're reaching an audience that they may not have reached before, and that's ultimately the name of our game, is to put you in front of people that may not know. And now they do, because they're here now. And Goth says, "Welcome to the show." So there you are, Mr. Goth. I gave you your flowers, sir. Let's dive into this. So I always start off at the top of the very top when it comes to getting to know you guys, and that is, how did you fall in love with professional wrestling? Where did it fall? Where did you intersect with it?
So, I suppose early on in my childhood, probably as a lot of children do, kind of found the WWE. That's kind of how I would initially say. Start with the action figures and all that kind of stuff, and all, playing with it as a child, and that's how I initially got into it. And then that transitioned throughout my younger childhood, and then come into my later teens, I kind of split off from wrestling, delved into other things, like football and studying and all that kind of stuff. So it took a bit of a sidetrack. And for me, really, how I got back into it was there was a few local shows, and I've got a very close friend of mine that wrestles on one of these shows, and we started going as a family. So me and my partner and my stepson and son started going to these shows, and I was there, and I started to think, why can't I do this? Like, I'm coming to watch it, and I'm enjoying the spectacle, I'm enjoying the showmanship and everything else, but I want a piece of that. I want a piece of the action. I want to be involved. I want to kind of delve a little bit more into the business, more than a fan perspective. So I kind of plucked up the courage, really, to kind of have a little chat with him, and just kind of, I wanted, because it's something new for me, so I didn't know how I was going to broach the subject to him. But I was like, I've been seeing what you're doing. I love what you do. How do I get into that? And what's the best route for me? He's been in the business 15 years, wrestling all over the place, abroad and international. He was like, find a school. That's your first port of call, really. So my partner had a little delve and deeper into Facebook, because I don't really do Facebook that much, but she had a little look and found a training school here based in Hereford, near where I live, called Prize Wrestling. And the head trainer there is Chris Royals. He's been around the business for probably about 15 years or so, wrestled all over the place. And then I plucked up I kind of wasn't too sure about dropping the message for about a week or two. I did drop the message, and then was going to go training, and then kind of pulled out because I got a bit nervous and left it a couple of weeks. And then I did eventually go and pluck up the courage. And that's where the journey started for me, really, from there.
So I get, the aspect of going and building up the confidence and courage, because I was a senior in high school when I started training for professional wrestling, and I was 17. I was the youngest trainee in the facility at that point in time, and we started with a class of 13 and ended with 2, me and one other. So I completely get the idea of like, all right, I got to psych myself up to step in and do this. So I'm very curious, when you step through the doors of Prize for the first time and you're getting into training mode, what were some of the I guess I say surprising reality checks? Because like everybody has their own idea of what they're to expect when you go in and you step through those ropes. But what were some of your reality checks that were like, okay, maybe not necessarily questioning whether or not you want to do this or not, but it was like, all right, now I need to, this shit's real and this shit's very serious, because it is. And I tell people all the time, one false move and one false fall can break a neck and can kill a guy in the ring in a quarter inch in either direction on various different moves. It's one of those you have to like, wow, hold on, because someone else's life is in my hands and I have to make sure that it is correctly. What were some of those moments that you're like, wait a minute, all right, let me back up and let me really hone in and figure this out?
I think students, when they start in the business, for me personally, it might have been a bit naive. But I walk in and think, I'm going to be hitting my finisher today. I'm going to be starting at the top, not the reality of I need to do my rolls. I need to do my bumps, I need to do my lockups, my transitions. I need to get all of that honed in, make sure I'm safe before I can build on those foundations. So I think that was a big thing for me. If I thought I was going to come in here and I really came in here, that was the big thing for me to get my kind of head around, really.
Well, was that I mean, when you wrapped your head around it and you kind of realized, all right, maybe I'm not where I thought I should be, but no, this is a learning process. You have to learn as you go. And obviously you're following the lead of your trainers. And they've got to steer you in the right direction. What were some of the things that came naturally to you? And then we'll go into some of the stuff that maybe was a little more difficult for you to get into. But what were some of the stuff that you did catch on to pretty quickly that maybe you're pretty proud of?
I think the intensity of kind of, when you're doing a lockup and your intensity, you're coming into that, the kind of aggression and the power side of it and strength worked for me. That was a natural kind of positive. Mm-hmm. I think that was probably the highlight for me of my early on, was that was probably what I was going to kind of base my character and base myself around. Yeah, that's probably I would probably sum up what I initially thought I was probably quite strong at. Yeah.
Okay. What were some of the things that maybe it took you a little bit to work to hone in on and take care of? What were some of those?
The rolls.
Yeah.
And how dizzy you get. Because I started rolling, and then I got into the habit of putting my hand down just to as I rolled, mm-hmm. and then I couldn't move my hand off the mat straight away. It was like a really, I don't know how to explain it. It's mind over matter in the end. But I had to kind of put my hand across my waist and start doing and consciously think about how I was going to do the roll to get rid of the bad habits. I think, and that was probably for me the hardest part. And also the fitness element, and how fit you need to be, because I only now know as of recent how fit and physically fit you have to be to go the longer matches.
Mm-hmm. So, like with me, you were talking about like rolls when we were just. I'm kind of embarrassed to say this, but I'm going to anyway. I've never said this publicly.
Here we go.
Oh yeah, this is gonna be great. So rolls, when I was 17, gotta remember this. So like I'm there and I'm watching these guys and they're ahead of me. I'm last in line. I didn't do a fucking roll my first time. I did a flip and just like didn't even. It was a straight up front flip. There was no roll involved, and I don't even know how or why I did it or how I could do it. Maybe it was because I was like 160 pounds at that point in time, and a roll to me was a flip. Who knows? But that was just for me. It was kind of, when you said mention that, I was like, man, I'm going to tell that story because I haven't said that at all. Something else. Something else that was real difficult for me, and you say mind over matter, and it made me resonate with this was taking back body drops. Like for me, it wasn't the fact that I was taking a back bump, really a leaping back bump essentially. It was the flipping aspect of it. And I could do this front flip as a roll, but to put some elevation on that, like that always scared me. Like I was like, I'm going to not rotate. I'm going to under rotate and I'm going to hurt myself. And, but it took a few minutes, and going over the top rope too. I was not a fan of being thrown over the top rope initially until I did it. And then I was like, oh, this is easy. What am I doing talking this up? How did you persevere and get through breaking those bad habits, if you will? Obviously repetition's key. What else did that look like for you?
I think what's been a particular highlight for me is, and a way that I've been able to improve, is I watch a lot of seminar videos on YouTube. Mm-hmm. Obviously you've got Al Snow, Eugene seminars, Big V, there's loads, I can name everyone. But I kind of now, it's kind of a bit OCD of me, but I've made a YouTube watch list, and in the watch list is all the videos, and I'm going through them in order, and I'm watching seminars and picking up little hints and tips of, how I can get over certain things. Mm-hmm. But obviously that's my personal development side of being at home and studying. But obviously in the academy, it's working with the trainers, and Chris Royals is obviously our head trainer, and then we've got two kind of guys. Cyborg is his wrestling name, and Daniel Arrowsmith. They're more of our experienced wrestlers, mm-hmm. And they're really good at kind of, because you don't sometimes want to hassle the trainer. He's got other people to train, other things to do. But I'm one of those people that will own up and say, I am struggling. Can you give me a hand? Can we have 5 minutes at the end? Can we have 10 minutes at the end to just go through my roles? And I will put the work in that sense as well, to try and improve. And that, I think that's what it was, is not suffering in silence. It's speaking up and saying, I want to get better, please help. And people are willing to help if you own up.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. I appreciate you being one of those cats that are like, hey, not, I get it. It's not fucking. They say it's not ballet. It's not. Some of this stuff can be complicated, and it's not necessarily that it's complicated. It's a mind thing. Like your mind wants to tell you, oh, you can't do that. No. It wants to. It's all mental. But once you really get through it and you do it once or twice, you're like, now I can, fine tune how I do it and how it would work for me to make it work for everyone else as well. It's all again, it's like a math equation. That's what I used to always say. There's so many ways to get to a common denominator, and not all of them are wrong. It's just like, if you get to the common denominator, it's right. Just because I went a different way doesn't mean that I'm right and you're wrong. So I get it. Something that I'm really interested in as you were working through this training and you get to maybe making your debut. How does, actually, before we get to the debut, let's talk about the character development. How does Martyn Cardia come to be?
So, not all my, I'd be lying if I said it was all my kind of thoughts and process. I lean very heavily, like I said, on my friend, his experience in the business. I'm sure yourself, when you started, there was people that you kind of could speak to or look up to. And I kind of said to him, I was like, here's what I'm thinking. Here's my ballpark of an idea. How can I get to the end goal? Like, I'm struggling with kind of my name. Well, the first part was easy because that's my dad's name and my middle name. Okay. So that's nice and easy. That's that bit sorted. So just to give a bit of a background, so I'm currently training to be a paramedic here in the UK. So obviously medical related is where I wanted to go. And he said, I said, I'm trying to think about how can I incorporate, the heart or some kind of body system or some type of skill that I do. How can I make that into my name? And he went, give me 5, I'll come back to you. And he was like, what about cardia? And I was like, tell me a little bit more. And he was like, oh, it's the Greek term for the word heart. And I was like, links in with the job, being a medical field, medical profession. It links in with my gear because I've got a giant heart and an ECG on the front of it. So it just hit the nail for me. And I was like, it's Martyn Cardia. And I stuck with that ever since, really.
Over in chat, Throw Down with Matt, who is another fantastic podcast over here in the States. I strongly encourage you, once we get off this, hit him up. He'll probably work out getting you on his show. Many, many moons ago, he was a paramedic in the States, so he understands exactly what you're going through there, and that training in itself cannot be easy to balance on top of professional wrestling, because like a lot of people may not get is wrestling is time consuming as is, between training, between travel, matches, traveling back. Yeah, there's a lot to it. So I'm curious. I was curious to know that. I'm like, now that it makes sense, I can see it. I can dig it now. So let's talk about the debut, man. Walking through that curtain for the first time. What was your state? How did you feel?
Well, it wasn't planned.
I love organic. And let's hear this story.
So I turned up at the show. There had been kind of whisperings of it's going to be in the next couple of months. You're building up to it. Fine. You've got an end goal. You know where to work to that point to get your debut. I turned up, and as I'm sure, and a lot of the fans on the podcast are aware, wrestling changes. People get stuck places, or they're ill and they can't make it, and there's card changes, etc. There was a card change. I turned up. Obviously, as you do, you bring your gear to every show, regardless of whether you think you're wrestling or not. And one of the wrestlers there, Daniel Aerosmith, said to me, "You're in the show later, and you match 4." And I was like, "What?" I wasn't fully prepared for that. So I ended up tagging It was a tag match, but obviously it's harder because I didn't have much time to kind of think, which is not always a bad thing. I'm a bit of an overthinker and a bit of a kind of a worrier, and I risk assess everything. I'm just one of those type of people. But when I knew the match was happening, I was there. I was very nervous. Obviously, I would be definitely lying if I said I wasn't nervous. But I was tagging with obviously one of the other trainees from the academy called Caden Rook. He's owns a wrestling shop in Hereford. So I was tagging with him, and we were wrestling a guy that works for us. The way I describe him, he's like a Big Show-esque kind of character. He's kind of larger than life, good on the mic, big hitter, that type of thing. And I was wrestling, he was tagging with a guy called James Terry from a local promotion who's been around the business a very, very long time. And when I was stood at that, all I could find myself doing was pacing up and down behind the curtain because I didn't really know what to do with myself. I was like, do I stand still? I've stretched, I'm ready, I'm hydrated, but I'm so nervous. And then when I went through the curtain, we kind of didn't have my own music at that point, so I was using his what he uses for his music. You see the children, you see the families, and the noise erupts. And then I was talking about this yesterday on the show, actually. I felt like a bit of an imposter at that time. I was a bit like, I'm here, but should I really be here? It all feels like an alien environment to me. And then obviously when you come down the steps and into the ring, business starts from there. But that's kind of, in a nutshell, how that day kind of transitioned for me. Into my first match,
What point did the nerves go away? They go away when the bell started, when the bell sounded, or was it something that was just gradually throughout the entire match? It kind of changes with people. Sometimes it leaves as soon as they walk through the curtain. Sometimes it goes away mid-match. Sometimes it doesn't go away at all.
I think when, because we lost that match, but I think when the bell rang and we've been pinned, that was a relax. Like, you've got through it, you know, there's going to be elements to work on, there's going to be things to improve, you know, as all wrestlers can improve on something, you know. But I'd done it. I'd stepped out my comfort zone.
Yeah.
I'd become Martyn Cardia. And yeah, that's when I think I settled a little bit into first one done, you know.
Yep, nope, I get it, 1,000%. I tripped over the steps and the ropes on my debut. Like, it happened. That's the thing.
Yeah, it does.
And like, you know, most people do it intentionally. Mine was not. It was just, I was just nervous as shit. It went away as soon as the bell rang. It rang, I was like, oh, this seems like familiar territory. And then off to the races you go, and off to the races we went back in the day. I think it's interesting when you have that debut. They also, you know, I like how they didn't set you up for failure. As you're telling me about who they're teaming you with, like they're putting you with somebody who else was at the training school with you, so somebody you're familiar with. So you're not going out there just blind with, you know, John Doe from Manchester or whatever, right? So like they put you with somebody that you do have some familiar that you're familiar with. I could almost say it, and you guys can go out there and do that. Was that his first match too? Was that y'all both of your debuts, or did it just happen to be yours?
So he'd had a bit of a hiatus. Obviously, COVID was about, as we all know. We're not going to go into that, but he had a hiatus from wrestling for a while. He ran his own promotion as well previously to that, so he was kind of coming back into wrestling. From a gap, and obviously I'm coming in from nothing really. So it was a good point for us to both meet, because yes, he hasn't been in the ring for a while, but he is still experienced. He's still experienced the crowd work, the match structure itself, whereas all of that is something I'm learning as I go. And obviously we were the guys we were tagging against, the one guy had been wrestling for, I think it is about 10 to 15 years, so he would be more of a vet. So he helped with the structure of the match, making sure it made sense, making sure that we were hitting points, making sure that it was telling the story it needed to tell within the match. So that was good for us to have someone in there that we could lean on, who's got that experience and has been there before.
No, I again set you up for success on that one, brother. At least that was baptism by fire, but in a good way, because there were some people that you could be comfortable with, and there's people that you know are going to take care of you. So that's always a positive thing. When what did you take away from that debut? Like, you say to everybody kind of like, hey, what can we work on? What can we do there? What was some of your takeaways from it?
Match wise, I think it was like timings, crowd work, possibly was probably my biggest thing. Obviously, it's all the intricacies, as we all love wrestling, we all understand it, but footwork, timings, being in the right place, right time, that was probably my big takeaway. But personally, to myself, my biggest takeaway was, you've done it. If this is it, if I then decide not to wrestle for whatever reason, I've done a match. I've stepped through there and I've experienced it, but I knew that wasn't going to be my last match. By the way I felt inside, I knew that was going to progress, and I wanted it to progress. So that's when I kind of streamlined on into kind of training more and going to a different place.
Well, when you say going to a different place, what do you mean? Like another training facility, or okay, cool. I think that's actually awesome.
Yeah. So luckily, when my friend wrestles for, like I said, a different promotion, they've got quite a large training school. So I went there, paid myself to hire the ring for a couple of hours. I think it was every other week, and I would go in with him, and we would work through different bits and bobs to do with wrestling. Obviously, started from the bottom. Because the only thing where I train with Prize, we have quite limited ring time, because we share with it's like a Muay Thai kickboxing gym, so they don't have a specific wrestling ring built up inside. So that was a way for me to go out and learn that element of it, of kind of using the ring, getting in and out, or even the basic stuff, like climbing on the ropes and doing all the running the ropes and everything else. I've done bits of it, obviously, at other shows when I was, but that was my main bit of kind of drumming down those elements. And I did that for about 4 or 5 months, and that really helped me as well.
What was the name of the school? The second school?
It's Evolution Wrestling Academy, based in Gloucester.
Okay, cool. I again like hearing new places. I like hearing new things, because I'm gonna go out and look them up. that's just what I do. So I like to see content. I like to see what's happening. I like to keep my fingers on the pulse of as much independent as I can, and because you never know, you don't know what's coming from where and who are people you should be watching. And what I have learned myself over the last couple of years is the UK scene is like, if I thought the scene in the States was fucking fire, God almighty, it is so competitive and so thick over there. One of my favorite tag teams, if not my favorite tag team on the scene right now, is in the UK. The Sunshine Machine, baby. TK Cooper and Chuck Mamba. You can't fuck with them. Those are my boys. I will ride and die for Sunshine Machine all day, every day. What are some of your highlights so far? Or getting, once you got through training, you start taking it, obviously taking it way more seriously, going out and spending the money to get the ring time, like that shows the investment. And not only it's in yourself, really, because if you can't, not saying that sharing a Muay Thai ring is bad by any means, but if you can't get the ring time that you need, then you have to supplement, and you have to figure out where you can. So it shows a different level of commitment, and that's something that I do like to see as well, because it shows that you're taking it fucking seriously. Ultimately, is what it boils down to. So after you get through the debut and you really start working on like a more regular schedule, what does that look like for you when you kind of break out?
So I think within Prize itself, obviously that's the main promotion I kind of work for. I think that we were kind of angling towards kind of a tag team with me and the Caden Rook, the guy I tagged with in my debut match. That was the initial kind of avenue, kind of to work, which was fine. When you're new to the business, you give everything a go. The promoter says, "Oh, I want to put this direction." Yeah, fine, whatever. I'm kind of happy. And then plans changed, and I kind of moved into singles action, really, and that's where I've kind of stayed since. And I think where I'm starting to see rewards, I'm starting to grow into singles wrestling. I know obviously tag wrestling is important, I'm not saying it's not, but I think for me, singles wrestling is where I'm kind of feel at home, because it's my character, it's the way I sell it. It's not a selfish thing. It's because it's all about me, because that's not what it's about at all. But I love telling that story. And there's so many different ways you can obviously tell. You're a big guy, little guy, you're good, bad. You've got all of that, and that's what I've kind of been studying more of, is based on singles wrestling. And I think now, a couple of weeks ago, month-ish, I challenged for the Prize Championship, which is our main bout, against a wrestler called No Fun Done. It's kind of no stranger on the UK scene. He's done Rev Pro, he's done Progress, he's dabbled a bit in NXT UK when that was knocking about. So very experienced, been around a lot of locker rooms, and we had a good 15-minute match. It was the first match that I've kind of come out of and thought, I'm happy. Or I'm not happy, because no one's ever happy, but I was content. I thought, I held my own against someone who's very experienced. And then that's now pushed me out. So I've been doing a bit of, we spoke about this before the show, but I do a bit of wrestling for Nothing But Wrestling. That's a company based in Birmingham. Corey Johnson's the promoter there. He works quite closely with Prize Wrestling and PWL. It's like a bit of a trio. So I've started doing little bits for them. I did one of the first matches I had, which was also a bit of chucked in the deep end. I did a Rumble at Darlaston Town Hall in Birmingham for PWL, and it was on the same show as Tom Latimer v Mad Dog Max for the NWA World Title. So I was I can say I've wrestled on the same show, 300 to 350 people, tiered seating. It was completely blown my mind when I come out the curtain. I've not seen that many people at a show. That blew my mind. So all of these different things, and then Forever Rivals is a promotion down in the kind of south, like Cornwall kind of way. I've started doing some. Well, actually, it's quite a little story. So I went down there. My mate got me the booking because he knows the guy there quite well, the promoter. I went down there, got there, and he was like, "You're in a 4-minute match." I was like, "Fine, I'll take whatever." And then I'm in the Rumble after that. So I thought I did okay. The 4-minute match went as planned. Got in the Rumble. It had a good little reaction when I came out. And I came home and I said to my partner, she goes, "How was the show?" I said, "I really enjoyed it. Really, really well organised. They're friendly, really good. Good to have a chat with." And then I got invited back to do another show, which happened last week. So I was in a tag match then. So that was a big thing for me to be asked back. Means I've done something right. The promoters have watched the match back, and they've thought, we'll get Martyn Cardia back and we'll give him a little bit more. So it seems to be that my character and everything is growing, and people around the area and things are starting to notice, which is a good thing for me, and I'm a positive, definitely.
Well, you got to have those confidence builders, right? Like it's the little wins, right? Going out and working 15 minutes and being able to hang. It's the small things that turn into the big things, right? Like it's the baby steps. You got to crawl before you walk, is what I always say. And these are your moments where you've been crawling. Well, now you're stepping up, and it's time to take some steps, and that's what you're doing here. I think it's great that you had the opportunity to step out in front of 350 and be able to soak that in for however long, however long you're out in front of that particular crowd, because it only gives you experience. It only builds more confidence in you as a performer as you're developing, because there's levels to this. It isn't something that you can just pop out and say, "Oh, I'm a fucking superstar." No, you're not. You have to build yourself, and there's a lot of trial and error with that. And part of that you've already kind of conquered, because we touched on it earlier when it came to the character work. You wanted to build a little bit of, authenticity from what you're doing in the real world, what I call the real world. Into your character, and truly with me, that's how I found success. Is my first year and a half, I floundered really. I thought I was doing the best gimmick in the world, and it was terrible. And then I changed my shit and just became me, and I found a lot that I was able to do more, and it only built more confidence in myself and built myself up in the areas that I was working in at the time. Bear in mind, it's 20 fucking years ago. So times are way different. internet wasn't a thing. You didn't have to worry about social media. It wasn't. It was different times, different place. What with 2025, we're in this last quarter really. And it seems like, based on what I'm hearing is you've had a lot of growth this year over 2025. So give me some of your highlights of what you're proud of thus far this year, and what with last quarter, what's left on the agenda for 2025 for you.
I think the biggest highlights stepping in the ring for that first time. I think that's every wrestler's probably, maybe not saying necessarily proudest moments, but it's the one that I could remember that match, remember the day, remember the experience. When I was told I was doing the match, everything is fresh. Probably wrestling for the prize championship, like I said, I touched on that. That's a big highlight and a big opportunity for me. Obviously I was unsuccessful, but that's life. I try again. And then I actually had a match last night, so I've been it was the second part of a guy I've become quite friendly with. It's called the Wild Man of Wearside, Bronco Billy Wild, or Billy Wright. So we had a match in Hereford. We had the part one, because he's based in like Newcastle, but he does a lot of like the camps, like the Butlins camps, and he wrestles for All Star, which is quite a big company around here in the UK. So he's getting himself out there. He's going to international, Germany, Japan. There's all these different things in the pipeline for him. So we had the part one, and then the part two happened last night. And I think for me, and I don't think he would mind me saying this, but he came through the curtain. I came through after him, and he shook my hand and said, "You've improved a lot since our last match." And for me, that was a sit down and think, yeah, he's a guy, not a guy of many words, but for me, that was enough. I took from that what I needed to at that time. And then I think it's also going to build now to a part three. So being in Chris Rawls, the promoter trainer, to put the faith in me to have a trilogy match, trilogy matches. It's been a massive thing for me, and I think it's building very well. Footage will be out for that soon, so I'll post some clips up on Instagram, and you can have a look. And I think moving forward into 2026, I think it's hard. I don't know what your personal experiences are, but I find it hard with promotions to kind of break in. Obviously, I haven't been in the game very long. I'm 22 matches, something like that, so I'm still very new, and it's getting them to take a chance on me. I know what I can do, and I know what I can offer, but it's someone to go, yeah, we'll give that Martyn Cardia a chance. He's messaged us, he wants to come and work. Can we find him a spot? It's hard, isn't it? Because they've got their own talent they've got their own networks, which I fully respect and I understand that. But my aim is to try and, coming into 2026, is to try and branch out a bit further within the UK scene. And I'm not one of those that wants to run before I can walk. I'm not saying to you on the podcast and for all the fans, I want to go to Japan and I want to go to America and I want to be signed by AEW, WWE. I know that is unrealistic at this time, but I want to take those small baby steps. I want to start branching out, and then if international bookings come in time, then fantastic. I'd love to take that opportunity, but I'm not going to force it. I'm not going to put pressure on myself. I'm just going to enjoy wrestling and remember why I got into wrestling.
No, I remember in my time when we were trying to get booked, it would always be me and a group of people, really, like 3 or 4 of us would ride to a town if we weren't booked somewhere. We would just show up and start putting a ring together. Same stuff that a lot of people do nowadays. And, usually if it translated anything, it was a battle royal spot or something like that, but which is fine. You got to have the experience is what you want. And for me, it was never necessarily about like, hey, where do you want to put me? It was just like, I want to put the company on my resume and build my resume. The more credible companies that are on it, regardless if I had a 2.5 minute squash or if I went 25 in the main event, at least I was there. And it's one of those things for me. It was like almost a pride thing. Like I got to work here, I got to work here, I got to work here and do this and this and this. And then reality set in. It was like, I'm not even going to remember all these places in 30 years. It was not. But I get it, and I do. But it was just one of those things. And sometimes you just have to put in that kind of work, and eventually it will pay off. It's just a matter of what and how, and getting that break, and then being ready for that break, because you don't ever know. Again, your debut. Yeah, you always got to have your shit in your car. Always got to have it, all of it. And none of that has really changed. And I've known several people to get a lot of bookings just that way, showing up and actually having their gear. Something that small. What part of the UK are you in? Like exactly? Like
So I'm based in Herefordshire. So that it's kind of on the Welsh kind of border, really on the border of Wales, border of Gloucestershire as well, and that kind of the Midlands. So like Birmingham is kind of encompasses all of that really. But obviously I drive. I'm willing to put the work in also, and I think a lot of it is social media, because I see a lot of wrestlers that I will always promote the shows I'm on. Buy your tickets now. Forever Rivals, Prize Wrestling, wherever I may be, I'm always trying to put that promotion out there. I'm trying to show that I'm willing to invest time and willing to put them across if they're willing to try and help me. It's not a one-way street. I don't expect to just be booked, turn up, not post anything, and go home. That's not me. I'm willing to buy into it.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of what they want to do as a company, like you said as well, whether it's a squash match, battle royal, a 6-man. I don't care what they're offering. I just want to be there. I want to experience. I want to get better, and it's about growth for me. And if they put the trust in me, I'll put the trust in them, and I will go back and work for them.
Well, I hope that you can get the ball rolling on that, and and get the word moving. Actually, that's a perfect segue. Give me some companies that you want to work for out there. What are some places that you're trying to dip your toe in the water?
So there was EPW, American Wrestling was one I've kind of reached out to recently. We've had a little bit of a chat. There's a new promotion around us, Seven Valley Wrestling. That's another one that I've been kind of wanting to kind of get in on. And then Combat Championship Wrestling. So there's a guy, quite experienced guy in the UK scene called the UK Dominator.
Mm-hmm.
He's been around a very long time. He started his own training school. So trying to get on there is also something I'm kind of looking to do. And he's linked with Forever Rivals. He does lots bits for them as well. So that's obviously not the only promotions that I'm happy to work to. But I'm trying to take the baby steps. I don't want to reach out to 50 promotions straight away. I want to take a couple, and I want to make sure that I can have good discussions and invest time into them before I kind of branch further out, really.
No, that makes perfect logical sense. So, these are companies that I'm personally not familiar with, but companies that I'll do my research on and see what's happening and what's going on. Actually, throw down with Matt. Just dropped a message in chat. Say just followed you on Instagram. We'll drop you a DM in the next day or two. There you go. We just got you a booking on another podcast. How about that? That's if you're wanting to do that. There you go. It's that simple. And I can personally vouch for Matt. I think Matt's a good dude. But there's in a world full of podcasters, you kind of have to be careful. Right? There's people depends on what intentions are and what they're not. And I can vouch for Matt. Matt's a good dude. And I would encourage you, if you got other people over there that want to get on a platform here in the States outside of myself, you can hit him up too. He's a good man. Like I say, it's a good man. When it comes to like some of your bucket list opponents, who are some people that are on that list that you want to maybe try and get in the ring with, or that are on your radar? It could be in your neck of the woods. It could be internationally. It could be wherever. But who are some people that you have on your to-do list, if you will?
So I think number one is going to be my close friend I've touched on a few times in this podcast. I want to wrestle him. That's obvious. I think from listeners who are going to listen to this podcast, they're going to see I've got quite a close relationship and he's helped me a lot. And I think that would be an emotional match too. The guy who got me into the business by watching his shows, that shows that he's on, helping me along the way with whether it's a text to say do you mind watching my match and giving me some feedback, which he has done every time, and detailed feedback. That's fantastic for me. That's invaluable for me. I know it's opinions. Everyone has a different opinion of your match and may like it or may not, but feedback is feedback. So the chance to wrestle him and would be the one for me currently. But then there's other Jesse Dynamite is another guy that I've been kind of in contact with on Instagram quite a lot. He's based like kind of Birmingham way. He's wrestled for all over the place. He goes Northern Ireland. He's been Germany. I think he did some stuff for OVW, not OVW. Who does Al Snow? Who's he?
What's OVW?
It is OVW. Yeah, he did a little bit of OVW stuff, and he's. I've just brought out some merch, so that's another little bit I've kind of.
I saw
trialing it.
We were getting there. We were getting there.
I'll leave that for now. So he's been really helpful in that sense, as well as just wrestling in general. So I'd like to wrestle him. And then there's a guy in PWL called Leon Jackson.
Okay.
We've been close before wrestling, but it's never happened. He's a big guy like myself, so that would be is another one on my kind of bucket list. I'm keeping grounded with people I want to wrestle. It's realistic for me. And another one, I think another big one would be CJ Rawlings. I've seen him, I watched him before on shows, and I've been on shows with him now. And I think that would be another one for me. And then obviously there's guys in my own promotion. Obviously I'm gonna talk about that. I want to wrestle one of my close friends, Big Deal Dante, another close friend of mine, Daniel Arrowsmith. And then we've got Rooster Adams. So there's a few, inner promotion matches that hopefully can happen over the next year or two. But that's kind of my bucket list currently.
Okay. All right. See, we have success with getting some people booked every now and then. So I'm always curious from your perspective of people that you want to deal with, because yes. I tell guys all the time, I'd rather put you in the ring with somebody that you want to than somebody that you don't know. So, and it's a way for me to not necessarily knowing these names, they hit my radar and they hit my sheets, my run sheets and booking sheets for shows. And I come back because I get genuinely curious. Who is this guy? Let me go watch them and see what's going on. And it's how I can revolve the door here and keep fresh content in front of the eyes of our viewers and our audience. Because I don't know, man, the CCP Army, they show up and show out, and sometimes they can be eerily reminiscent of the old ECW audience. If they don't like something, man, they'll tell me. they won't tell everybody. They'll tell me. They'll send me a message and be like, "That was terrible." And I'll be like, "Well, sorry you didn't."
I just realised I actually haven't name dropped my friend. I've said my friend the whole time, and I've not gave his wrestling name. So Brazen on social media is Brazen of the Woods. That gives a bit more. I thought I have to put him in there because I've mentioned him as being quite influential and not actually name dropped him yet. So
I couldn't remember if you had said his name, and I was actually going to ask you who's the friend because I, didn't know. So, but yes, we'll figure all that out. See, again, we're all learning here, Martyn. Awesome. It's all learning experience. All
definitely.
What for you? What are outside of branching out, and we got these dream matches, necessarily dream matches, but bucket list matches that you want to have. Who are some people from your perspective that we should be watching? Like, when I ask that question, it could be people that you've been in the ring with, people you're training with. I can tell you've mentioned the name Dante a couple of times. He's already hit me up, and we've got something. I think we're setting up something next Sunday, actually. But who outside of anyone that's in your circle, like who should we be watching?
So obviously I've said about big deal Dante. I think he's hot on the scene. He's gonna be big in time. He's a bit like me. He dedicates a lot of time to the business, more than study wise. Mm-hmm. He does a lot. So definitely can advocate for him. Like I said, Brazen definitely is someone we should look out for. And then just trying to think a bit wider, context-wise, Roy Stevens is someone that I tagged with recently at Forever Rivals. Just a very good wrestler, but also a very good guy. Tag specialist is where but he does singles as well. But that's him. I think is someone to look out for. And then obviously you're looking, like I've already briefed. A lot of these all are in my bucket list anyway. Mm-hmm. So these are guys that I particularly take a look at. So I say like Leon Jackson is kind of another one of those. I'm just trying to think of anyone broader subject. Oh, let's have a little think. CJ Rawlins, I touched on him. I'm trying to think. No, that's probably because I keep my at the moment. I'm very much, like I say, I stay grounded. Mm-hmm. Look at people in and around me, and that's kind of where I would. Another one I will. Yeah, I said. I don't think of his name. Top of my head. So I've done on Jesse Dynamite. No, that's probably about it actually at the moment, without having a wider kind of deeper dive.
I'll go ahead and preface it, dude. If he didn't mention you, then don't give him any shit because he was put on the spot. So, and it's a live show, guys. Put yourself in his shoes, and then come talk to us about it. So I always love these conversations, dude, because it really and truly, like, all of them just scratch the surface, really, and get started on to me, which is it would evolve into a much bigger relationship, because it's never again about short term anything with us at our channel. It's always about long term and partnering with people who we can have a long, fruitful relationship with. 2026, what are some things that you want to get done? What are some things that you want to get accomplished? Obviously you've got your eyes on some singles championships that you want to work your way back around to. So in a perfect world, according to Martyn, what does 2026 have in store?
It's hard because Big Deal Dante currently holds the championship that I would probably be kind of aiming for. Obviously that could friend v friend is very, there's that. I think also more for me, more than the titles, is just being well enough to wrestle and still enjoying it. I think that's very key for me, is still loving the business, wanting to learn about the business, and just getting Martyn Cardia out there a little bit more. Like I said, and I've said throughout this podcast, I'm not one of the unrealistic people. I just want to grow gradually, a little nudge at a time. I think that's through 2026. I want to have more of a full calendar. Obviously, it's hard. I've got children. I'm studying. I've got a partner. So there's all of these other things of normal day-to-day life that obviously impact that. But if I can just have a bit of an extended diary, then I'd be happy. I'd be happy with that.
Well, I think it's kind of cool that on the backside that you've got a family that is very supportive of what you're trying to do and how you're trying to get there. And I also think that it's commendable because there's not a lot of people who could balance not only professional wrestling and like a work life, but professional wrestling, a work life, and a family life. And there's a lot to it, man. And I'm very grateful, really, for my better half, because I fucking work 45 hours a week in the real world, and this is another 40-hour a week job. That's what it's turning into. But this is more of I don't consider this work because it's fun. It's like like you said, as long as I'm having fun doing what I'm doing, then I'm going to keep doing it. And that's where we're at, man. This has been just a weird, crazy ride of independent wrestling over the last couple of years, and it's going to turn into a weirder, crazier ride as we go. But we have made a lot of really cool friends along the way, and now you're one of them. So I am forever grateful of just getting time to sit down and pick your brain and talk to you, number one. And like I said at the top of the show or before we came on the air, these first conversations are really just surface scratchers. If you have a great time, then we can come back and we can sit down and recap and circle around and see what's going on and what's been going on where and your growth along the way. But before we close things out, we've talked a lot about wrestling and a lot about just how you've gotten here and where you've gotten to where you've gotten to. I always do like to ask, like on the between the personal life with the family, between the wrestling, between trying to become a medic over in your neck of the woods, for the 9.6 seconds that you get to relax a day, man. How do you like to do that? What's some stuff that you like to do?
So I coach, joint manage a local grassroots football team. They're called Rank Outsiders. I've played for them for earlier on. I'm 31 now. Played for them early on in my 20s, and I've always been around the club. Got a lot of close friends from school and stuff that play there, so I help manage the first team there in my spare time. And I think most of my other spare time is split between studying. There's a lot of that. It's the boring side of it, but I know the end goal.
Cha-ching. that's the end goal. Yeah.
and kind of family time. I've got a 10-year-old stepson. I've got a 2-year-old boy, and obviously my spending time with my partner. I haven't kind of spoke about her, and I think I should just briefly. I think that she opened the door. She found the academy in Hereford. She pushed me towards that, to go out my comfort zone, to be away at weekends. She comes and supports. Last night, for example, she was selling my merch at the merch table. She's always supporting me. She'll sit and watch my matches with me. She is a true diamond, and without her support, it would be impossible to do it all. So I give out all credit to her, really. Yeah.
Well, shout out to the missus from CCP Podcasting. We'll definitely pass that along to her, because we love support, and we love when you get the support. Now, something that I forgot to touch on, and you just said it, some ears went up, merch. You just got some new merch over the last month or so that I did get a chance to check out over on social media, which, by the way, guys, it's been on the screen the entire show right above me. Martyn Cardia, excuse me, I almost paused your last name. Over on Instagram, hit that follow button. Let's talk about merch. Let's talk about what you got going on. And I know you're kind of proud of it.
Yeah. So I haven't gone crazy. Obviously, got to start sensible. So this is where chatting with, like I said earlier, a good friend of mine now, Jesse Dynamite, who's very, very good with his merch. He's got a very wide variety, understands the business, marketing, etc. So I went in with just basic, really, just some key rings, some pin badges, and some photos, customized by a wrestler that wrestles for us called Ace Volker. He is very good at the digital side of things, whereas I'm not. So he kind of, here's the image, he put the background on, and then I got it all sorted. And yeah, actually, for the first time, obviously friends and family have bought a few little bits, but last night I managed to actually sell some merch, some photos, and some key. And that was a surreal experience in itself. It was, you're wanting a photo of me. You want me to say this is weird? Like, it was a weird experience to start with, but also a very good one. And I'm glad. Yeah, it's just good to get something out there.
No, absolutely. And again, guys, head over to Instagram, Martyn.Cardia. Oh, God, I almost did it again. Martyn.Cardia over on Instagram, and you can check out what he has going on. If you're ever in the UK, hit him up directly, and he'll probably be able to do some mail outs to you. Do you have international shipping? Are you just selling selling a bit direct?
So far, selling more UK based for now, via the wrestling house. So Caden Rook, the gentleman I tagged with in my first match, has just opened a wrestling house. He's got an online shop, so he's put it on there. Obviously taking it to shows. That's where I'm starting, and then depending on how that goes is where I go in the future with other bits of merch.
Yeah, well, we'll talk when we go off the air. I may have something you might be interested in.
Okay.
I think it's fantastic, bro. I do. I really have enjoyed sitting down this last hour and being able to chat and get to know a little bit more about you. I'm very interested in seeing where you go and your future, and it's just starting. This is another thing, guys. I think with Martyn, it's just starting. So there's a lot. You can jump in on this and follow him now and be able to keep up with everything that he's got going on. I always do like to turn the floor over to our guest on our way out. Is there anything that you want to talk about? Anything that you want to plug? Anything that you want to get out there? The floor is yours.
Yeah, I think a reason we touched on earlier, professional wrestling, but I want to touch on a reason why I also got into it, which was with mental health. I think men's mental health in a particular focus, just in a nutshell. I think we've all probably been in dark moments, been in dark places, and I had been previously, and wrestling has been the outlet for me. I'm probably in the best place I've been mentally now for a very, very long time, and that's because of wrestling and having a focus and kind of being around, having somewhere to aim and somewhere to always strive for. And I would just want to say to anyone, if you're struggling, reach out, look for a hobby, look for something that can help you. We don't talk about it. Men don't talk about it. That's well known, and that's a common theme. But honestly, pluck up the courage to do so. My DM's open. If you're struggling, feel free to drop me a message. I can't say I've got the magic answers, but I would always try and help people that are in a dark place. And I think wrestling has been particularly helpful for me, improving my kind of mental well-being. So that's what I just wanted to touch on.
Oh man, no, you're absolutely correct. It is 100%. And sometimes the professional wrestling business can be one of those spots. You just have to keep finding that positive light. And for me, I always say that there's always a silver lining. So I don't really like to deal with too much negative because I feel like the world is negative enough, and I don't need to add to that. I just would rather figure out where I can find some good in what's going on, and then I'll focus on that because that at least makes me happy. And keeps me headed in the right direction. This has been a fantastic chat. I cannot wait to have you back and see what you have going on down the line. And definitely be on the lookout for that DM from Matt because he's done another outlet for you to go down to get you out there, especially here in the States, man. And eventually there's going to be an opportunity that comes your way to do some international stuff, and you'll be there to answer that call, and we'll be able to meet face to face, and we'll be able to make some things happen. I again appreciate you, brother, and I appreciate your time. The easiest way, guys, that you can show your love and support for all things independent wrestling and our guest today is by sharing, and subscribing. And in his case, I will not botch it. I will not make a mistake. It's at Martyn.Cardia over on Instagram. Hit that like, hit that follow, and show your support for what he has going on over in the UK. It has been a very, very good conversation. Gotten a lot of really good information, new companies, new people to go out and research and take some peeks at. And I have a plethora of staff members who are just going to love to do that. It's going to be a fantastic ride. For our guest today, Mr. Martyn Cardia, I am Chris Page. We will see you next time.